No one in the town of Black Ridge, Colorado, ever spoke about the house on Whispering Pines Road after sunset. During the day, it looked ordinary enough. An old two-story wooden structure with faded white paint, cracked windows, and a porch that sagged like it was tired of holding secrets. But at night, people said it breathed, not metaphorically. They claimed the house itself inhaled and exhaled like something alive was trapped inside its walls. It all started in the winter of 1998, when a young couple, Daniel and Rebecca Hayes, moved into that house with their 6-year-old daughter, Lily. They were escaping a messy past, financial problems, a broken business, and a life that felt like it was falling apart. The house was cheap. Too cheap. But desperation makes people ignore things their instincts try to warn them about. The first few days were normal. Quiet. Almost too quiet. Rebecca noticed it first. The silence. No birds, no distant traffic. Not even the wind seemed to pass through that part of the road. It was like the world avoided that place. Daniel laughed it off, saying it was just peaceful countryside living. But Rebecca couldn't shake the feeling that the silence wasn't peaceful. It was watching. On the 4th night, Lily woke up screaming. Rebecca rushed into her room and found her sitting upright in bed, her small body trembling, eyes wide open but unfocused. She kept whispering, "He's in the corner. He's in the corner," over and over again. Rebecca turned on the light, but there was nothing there, just a shadow cast by the wardrobe. She held Lily tightly, telling her it was just a nightmare. But Lily didn't stop shaking, and she refused to look at that corner for the rest of the night. The next morning, Lily seemed normal again. Children forget quickly, or maybe they pretend to. But something had changed. She stopped playing outside. She started talking less, and sometimes Rebecca would catch her staring at empty spaces, like she was listening to someone no one else could hear. Then came the sounds. At first, it was subtle. Soft footsteps in the hallway at night. The creak of the stairs when no one was there. Doors slightly open that had been closed. Daniel blamed the old structure of the house. Wood expands, pipes make noise, he said. Logical explanations. Safe explanations. But Rebecca knew the difference between a house settling and something moving. One night, around 2:17 a.m., Rebecca woke up to the sound of whispering. It was faint, like someone speaking from behind a wall. She sat up, her heart racing, trying to focus. The whispering wasn't random. It sounded like words, but distorted, like multiple voices speaking at once, overlapping each other. She nudged Daniel awake, but as soon as he stirred, the whispering stopped. "See," he mumbled, "just your imagination." But Rebecca stayed awake the rest of the night, staring into the darkness, feeling something was wrong, deeply wrong. Days turned into weeks, and the tension inside the house grew heavier. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was pressure. Like the air itself was thick. Lily started drawing pictures, dark pictures, crayon sketches of a tall figure with no face, standing in corners, watching, always watching. Rebecca found one drawing that made her blood run cold. It showed their house. Inside the house, there were 3 figures, Daniel, Rebecca, and Lily. But there was a 4th figure too, tall, black, standing right behind them. When Rebecca asked Lily who it was, she simply said, "He lives here. He doesn't like us." That night, everything changed. Daniel stayed up late working on his laptop in the living room. Around midnight, he heard something fall upstairs, a loud thud like furniture being dragged. Thinking Lily might be awake, he went to check. The hallway upstairs was dark. The air felt colder than usual. As he walked toward Lily's room, he noticed her door was slightly open. He pushed it gently. Lily was asleep in her bed, but her closet door was wide open. Daniel frowned. He clearly remembered closing it earlier. He stepped closer, reaching for the door, and that's when he heard it. A slow, heavy breathing. Not Lily's, not his. It was coming from inside the closet. He froze. For a moment, he told himself it was just his imagination, but then the breathing grew louder. deeper, like something struggling to breathe in a tight space. Daniel slammed the closet door shut and grabbed Lily, rushing out of the room. He didn't tell Rebecca what he heard. Not fully. He just said something felt off. But for the first time, even he couldn't pretend everything was normal. The next morning, they decided to check the house more thoroughly. Maybe animals had gotten inside. Maybe there was a logical explanation. They went into the basement. The door was at the end of the kitchen, old and slightly warped. Rebecca had never liked it. It always felt wrong, like it didn't belong. Daniel opened it slowly. A foul smell hit them immediately. Rotting, damp, something ancient. The basement was dark with only a single flickering bulb. As they stepped down, the wooden stairs creaked loudly beneath them. The air grew colder with each step. At the bottom, they saw something that shouldn't have been there. A door, not part of the house's original structure. This door looked different, older, darker, with strange markings carved into it. Symbols that didn't make sense. Symbols that looked deliberate. Was this here before? Rebecca whispered. Daniel shook his head slowly. The door was slightly open, and from inside came that same breathing sound. But this time, it wasn't alone. There was whispering too. Daniel didn't realize he had stopped breathing until Rebecca gripped his arm so tightly it hurt. The air in the basement felt suffocating now, thick with a presence that neither of them could see but both could feel pressing against their skin. The door in front of them creaked slightly, as if reacting to their fear, opening just a fraction more on its own. The whispering grew clearer, not loud but layered, like dozens of voices speaking at once, trapped in a place too small to hold them. Rebecca shook her head immediately, her instinct screaming at her to leave. "We shouldn't be here," she whispered, her voice trembling. But Daniel, driven by something between curiosity and denial, stepped forward anyway. He told himself there had to be a logical explanation. There always was. There had to be. As he reached the door, the temperature dropped sharply. His breath became visible, curling into the air like smoke. His hand hovered over the handle, hesitating for just a second before he pushed the door open fully. What lay beyond wasn't a room. It was a narrow, unfinished space, more like a hollow carved into the earth beneath the house. The walls were dirt, damp and uneven, as if something had dug them out long ago. Strange symbols were carved everywhere, on the walls, the ceiling, even the floor. They weren't random. They were intentional. Repeated patterns, circles within circles, lines intersecting in ways that made Daniel's head ache if he looked too long. And then there was the smell. It was worse inside. Rotting, yes, but also something metallic, like old blood. The breathing sound was louder now. Wet. Strained. Alive. Rebecca refused to step inside. "Daniel, please," she begged. "Close it. Just close it." But Daniel took one step forward, then another. And that's when the whispering stopped. Completely. The silence that followed was unbearable. It pressed against his ears so hard it almost hurt. For a moment, everything stood still. Even the air felt frozen. Then something moved, not in front of him, behind him. Daniel turned around instantly, but there was nothing there. Just Rebecca standing at the doorway, pale, frozen, her eyes wide with terror. But she wasn't looking at him. She was looking past him. "Daniel," she whispered, barely able to form the words. "Don't move." His heart began to pound violently in his chest. Slowly, he turned his head back toward the darkness inside the hidden space. And then he saw it. At first, it didn't look like anything human. It was too tall, too thin. Its limbs bent at unnatural angles, like they weren't meant to support its weight. Its skin, or whatever covered it, looked stretched, almost peeling, like it didn't fit properly. And its face, there was no face. Just a smooth, dark surface where features should have been. No eyes, no mouth. And yet, it was breathing. That same heavy, wet breathing. Daniel couldn't move. His body refused to respond. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but something held him there, like an invisible force pressing him into the ground. The thing tilted its head slightly, and then the whispering returned, but this time it was coming from it, not around them, from it. The voices overlapped, distorted, but now Daniel could almost understand them. Words formed briefly before dissolving into chaos. Stay with us. Don't leave. Too late, Rebecca screamed. The sound broke whatever hold the thing had on Daniel. He grabbed her hand and ran, pulling her up the stairs as fast as he could. The basement door slammed shut behind them with a force that shook the entire house. They didn't stop running until they were outside, standing in the freezing night air, gasping for breath. Neither of them spoke for a long time, because there was nothing to say that could explain what they had just seen. From that moment on, everything changed. The house was no longer just uncomfortable. It was hostile. That night, Lily woke up again, but this time she wasn't screaming. She was laughing. A soft, quiet laugh that echoed through the hallway. Rebecca rushed into her room and froze at the doorway. Lily was sitting on the floor facing the corner, her back turned. Her head tilted slightly, like she was listening to someone very closely. "Lily," Rebecca said carefully. The laughing stopped. Slowly, Lily turned her head. Her expression was wrong. Too calm, too empty. "He's not in the corner anymore," she said quietly. Rebecca felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean?" Lily smiled faintly. He came closer. From that night on, Lily was no longer the same child. She stopped sleeping. Completely. Rebecca would check on her at all hours, and Lily would always be awake, sitting in the same position, staring at different parts of the room. Sometimes she whispered to herself. Sometimes she just watched. And sometimes she spoke in a voice that wasn't hers. Daniel heard it one night while passing her room. A deep, layered voice coming from a 6-year-old's body. Not loud, not aggressive, just wrong. He didn't go inside. He couldn't. The house itself began to change too. Walls developed cracks that hadn't been there before. Dark stains appeared overnight, spreading slowly like something seeping through from inside. The mirrors in the house started reflecting things that weren't there, shadows moving behind them, figures standing just out of sight. Rebecca stopped looking into mirrors altogether. But the worst was the feeling, the constant feeling of being watched. Not just watched, but studied, like something was learning them, understanding them. Waiting. One evening, as the sun began to set, the power in the house suddenly went out. No warning, just darkness. Rebecca lit candles, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Daniel tried to check the fuse box, but something stopped him halfway down the stairs to the basement. That smell, stronger than ever. And then, a voice, clear this time, not whispering, calling his name. "Daniel." He froze instantly. It wasn't Rebecca, it wasn't Lily. It was coming from the basement. Slowly, the basement door creaked open by itself, and from the darkness below, something began to climb the stairs. Daniel couldn't move, his body locked in place as the basement door continued to open. Inch by inch, the old wood groaning as if it resisted what was coming through it. The darkness below wasn't normal darkness anymore. It felt thick, alive, stretching outward like it was trying to escape. The smell that rose from it was unbearable now. A mixture of decay and something far worse. Something ancient. "Daniel, come here." The voice was clearer now, still layered, still unnatural, but unmistakably calling him. Not aggressively, not loudly, just patiently, like it knew he would obey eventually. Behind him, Rebecca clutched Lily tightly, both of them frozen in the dim candlelight. The flickering flames made the shadows dance along the walls, but those shadows didn't always match their movements anymore. Something was wrong with them. Something was inside the house, and it was no longer hiding. The first thing Daniel saw was a hand. It emerged slowly from the darkness of the basement. Long, pale fingers stretched too far, joints bending in ways that made no sense. It gripped the edge of the stairs, dragging the rest of its body forward. Then came the sound. Bones shifting, skin tightening. That same wet, heavy breathing. Rebecca let out a quiet sob, trying to cover Lily's eyes, but Lily didn't resist. She was staring directly at the thing and smiling. "It's okay," Lily whispered softly. "He just wants to come upstairs." Daniel felt something inside him break at that moment. This wasn't his daughter. Not anymore. Whatever had been in that basement, it had already reached her. The creature pulled itself further up the stairs, its tall, twisted form slowly revealing itself in the dim light, its head tilted unnaturally as if studying them, its faceless surface reflecting the candlelight in a dull, unnatural sheen. And then, suddenly, all the candles went out. Darkness swallowed the room instantly. Rebecca screamed. Daniel reached out blindly, grabbing onto them, trying to hold his family together as the house around them began to shift. Loud bangs echoed through the walls. Doors slammed. Glass shattered somewhere in the distance. The entire structure groaned like it was alive and in pain. And then, silence. A complete, suffocating silence. No breathing, no movement, nothing. For a moment, Daniel thought it was over. Then he felt it, right behind him. A presence so close he could feel its coldness against the back of his neck. "Stay," the voice whispered directly into his ear. No longer distant, no longer layered, just one voice now. Clear, calm, final. "You belong here." He grabbed Rebecca and Lily and ran toward the front door, crashing into furniture, stumbling in the darkness, driven purely by fear. His hands found the doorknob, twisting it violently. Locked. It wouldn't open. He pulled harder. Nothing. Behind them, something moved again. Fast this time. No longer slow. No longer patient. Rebecca screamed as something brushed past her. Too fast to see, but too real to ignore. "Daniel, it's here," she cried. The whispering returned instantly, filling the entire house, louder than ever before. The walls themselves seemed to echo with voices, all speaking at once, all repeating the same thing. "Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave." Lily suddenly broke free from Rebecca's grip. "No!" Rebecca shouted, reaching for her, but Lily stepped forward willingly, walking toward the darkness like she was being called home. "He's lonely," Lily said softly. "He doesn't want to be alone anymore." And then, the front door unlocked. On its own, Daniel didn't hesitate. He grabbed Rebecca and forced the door open, dragging her outside into the freezing night. The cold air hit them like a shock, but it didn't matter. They ran. Barefoot, no coats, no plan, just ran. But after a few steps, Daniel realized something was wrong. Rebecca was screaming Lily's name. He turned around. Lily was still standing in the doorway, completely still, smiling. The darkness behind her moved, wrapping around her like a shadow that didn't belong to the world. For a brief second, Daniel saw it again, the tall, faceless thing standing directly behind her, its form blending into the house itself. "Lily!" he shouted, trying to go back. But Rebecca held him, crying, begging him not to. Because deep down, they both knew that wasn't Lily anymore. The front door slammed shut, and the house went completely still. No movement, no sound, like nothing had ever happened. The police report was filed the next morning. Missing child. No evidence of anything unusual. Just another unexplained case that would eventually be forgotten. Daniel and Rebecca never returned to that house. They left everything behind, moved across the country, tried to rebuild their lives. But some things don't let go. Years later, Rebecca would wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of soft footsteps in the hallway. Daniel would sometimes hear whispering when he was alone, and every now and then, they both heard it. A soft, familiar voice from somewhere inside their home. "Mom, Dad, I'm still here. The house on Whispering Pines Road still stands. Empty. Abandoned. No one stays there for long. Because sometimes, late at night, if you stand close enough, you can hear breathing from inside and faint whispering, calling your name.